What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope all doing well. As you can see, I got rid of the logo in my background on the Zoom here. I thought it looked started to look kind of weird with the microphone kind of blending into it, so I decided to just do my regular background for today. Let me know if you guys like this or like my logo being in the background better, or if you like it blurred in general better. But anyway, let's get started. Big news broke last night. The New York Giants are finalizing a deal with longtime Baltimore Ravens head coach John Harbaugh to be their next head coach. I think it's a very good hire from the New York Giants. This is a guy that was really needed for their organization. Was in Baltimore for a long time. Was there 18 seasons. Won a Super Bowl in 2012. 180 wins in 18 seasons. Was in the playoffs almost every single season. Was competitive every single season. I think Baltimore just needed a change, which is why he was let go. He's a very good coach. A lot of young talent on the defensive side of the football in New York. Harbaugh will like that a lot. And you have a young quarterback in Jackson Dart, who you just drafted in the first round this past season. Showed a lot of promise this year. I'm sure that was very intriguing for John Harbaugh. He's getting a huge contract, 5 years, $100 million. I believe they'll make him the highest paid head coach in the NFL. So he gets a huge deal to become the head coach of the New York Giants. Supposedly Todd Monken, who was his offensive coordinator in Baltimore the last few seasons. In fact, I think part of the reason he was let go was because he did not want to move on from Todd Monken after last season with the Baltimore Ravens. He will be joining his staff. It has not been announced what his role will be. If I had to guess, he will be the offensive coordinator. He was his OC in Baltimore the last few years, like I just said. So if I had to guess, that will be his offensive coordinator, but we will see what happens. But overall, I think this is a great hire from the New York Giants. He was the best coach on the market. The Giants need someone like that to come in and shake things up. Really shock the culture, something they've needed. They have one playoff win in 14 years since their last Super Bowl. They've won the worst records, like a bottom three record in the league in the last, since like at least 2017. The only team I think it's been worse, if that, is the New York Jets, who are the worst run organization in sports, if you ask me. I know as a fan. But John Harbaugh is the next head coach of the New York Giants. Definitely a step in the right direction for the New York Giants. But moving on to baseball, the Boston Red Sox finally make a free agent signing, their first one of the offseason. They signed Ranger Suarez, longtime Philadelphia Phillies starting pitcher, to a 5-year deal worth $130 million. I think this is a good signing for them. He's a very good pitcher for his career. In 119 career starts, he's a 3.38 career ERA. Last year, 26 starts, 3.2 ERA, 157 in the third. Year prior, in 2024, he was an all-star, 3.46 ERA in 27 starts, over 150 and two-thirds innings. He's not a big innings guy. Last year was his career high in innings. He went 157 and a third. That being said, he's very, very solid. Very solid middle of the rotation arm for you to have. Very good number 3 starter, maybe a number 2 starter. Something that Boston needed. They've done a lot of moves to try and improve their rotation. They make the trade with the Cincinnati Reds to acquire Sonny Gray. They make the trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates to acquire Yohan Oviedo. And now they spend $130 million on Ranger Suarez. I think this is a good deal. He's going to be 30 years of age, but he's not a big velocity guy. He only throws about 92 miles per hour. I think it's actually a good thing. You see all the Tommy John surgeries nowadays. All of them throw hard. Not hard to figure out why that keeps happening, especially as a starting pitcher. It's one thing if you have a reliever that throws 100. They're only pitching, an inning at a time usually. They're only going to throw maybe 60 or 70 innings. But a starter who's going to be throwing them 150, 170, 180, 200 plus innings a season, they're doing that year in, year out. It's really tough to throw 100, every single time, 97, 98 miles an hour, and eventually your arm does not run out of gas. So the guys that throw 92, 93, 94 usually have a longer career. That's usually how that works. So I think that will help him in his longevity, which is why the longer-term deal, even as a guy who's going to be 30 years old, makes sense. And the Phillies, I think, lose probably their second best or third best starter. Zach Wheeler's hurt. I'm not sure how he's going to come back from that thoracic outlet syndrome surgery. That's tough to come back from, especially at his age. And obviously, you have Sanchez, but he was the number three starter the last few years. And now he goes to Boston. Boston's got a really deep rotation now. They're led by Garrett Crochet, one of the best starting pitchers in the sport. Now you add Ranger Suarez, you bring in Sonny Gray, you bring in Johan Oviedo, who's young, hasn't showed a whole lot, was hurt in 2024. Last year came back at the end of the year, was pretty good. Has really good stuff, is still young. They also have Brian Bayo, who's a solid pitcher. They also have a bunch of younger arms there, Conley Early and Kyle Harrison. Cutter Crawford's coming back this year. Peyton Tole. So they should have a very good rotation with some really excellent depth, which is really important in today's league. You saw too much like the Dodgers. Their offense actually struggled in the postseason, had some injuries throughout the year, and that bullpen was really bad. Read the whole second half of the year, even in the playoffs. But the starting pitching that they had was ridiculous. Even honestly, the last 2 years, they've had a zillion starting pitching in there, but you had 10, 11, 12 different major league arms that were able to get through the season. And by the time the playoffs came around, they had 3, 4, 5 guys that they could rely on. That's really all they needed. And he's looking at a team like the Mets spent all that money on their lineup, but just had no starting pitching depth. So when guys got hurt, they were rolling up minor league guys 3, 4 times a week, and that's what led to their demise last year. So I think this is a very good move for the Boston Red Sox. Now, this is obviously along for a legit ace. They have a bunch of other really good starting pitchers to fill up their rotation to have some really good depth, and that should serve them well throughout the season, especially for a lot of young arms, guys with some arm issues. That will definitely serve them very well. So Ranger Suarez goes to Boston. Still a word on Kyle Tucker. I heard by the end of the week he should make a decision possibly today. I'm hoping at some point while I'm doing the show, he does sign, but don't think that's going to happen. But we'll see what happens. Apparently, it's a 4-year deal worth $50 million a year from the Mets. Supposedly, he has a long-term deal on the table with Toronto. Talked about that with Neil yesterday. But we'll see what happens. The Dodgers are still kind of in the mix. Yankees are sort of in the mix, not really. They're trying really hard to get this deal done with Cody Bellinger. I know they offered him 5 years for I think $155 million, and he wants a 7-year deal. So they're trying to get that done with him. They're probably gonna end up settling maybe on like a 6-year deal and bring him back. I just think they're kind of negotiating against themselves. I don't think he has a whole lot of interest around the league. Kyle Tucker definitely has more interest around the league than Cody Bellinger does. But anyway, Clayton Kershaw, it was announced, is going to pitch for the World Baseball Classic team. The United States World Baseball Classic team in this year. Kershaw just retired, which is why this is so surprising. And I don't think he's been on the team that recently. Obviously, the guy's very, very old. He just retired after a legendary 18-year career. He is 37 years old. Obviously going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. One of the greatest starting pitchers ever. That being said, he's going to pitch for the World Baseball Classic team, which is a major, major surprise. And he'll be on the team. So I'm not sure how much he'll pitch, if at all, but he'll be on the team. He'll be an option for the World Baseball Classic team coming up. Let's move on to some football. Very briefly here, the Pittsburgh Steelers put in 2 interview requests. Rams passing game coordinator Nate Schilhaas, as well as their defensive coordinator Chris Shula. I think Chris Shula makes a lot of sense for them. The Steelers typically have hired young defensive coordinators to be their head coaches. Obviously, they don't usually make head coach hires very often. They this is only their 4th head coach ever. You had Cowher for almost 20 years. You had Tomlin for almost 20 years. So obviously Chuck Noll was there forever. But they usually hire, like Mike Tomlin was like just a not so known defensive guy. Same thing with Bill Cowher. So Chris Shula would be right up their alley. Younger defensive coordinator. He's getting some legit head coach buzz this cycle, but he's not the most touted guy. That would make a lot of sense for them. Obviously coming from Sean McVay's group. And Schilhaas, he's gotten a couple of head coach interviews around the league. I personally would like to see him be a coordinator full-time offensive coordinator first before he takes a head coach job. However, I do think Pittsburgh needs a change. I don't think they should continue down the route of that just, inexperienced for the coordinator route. I think they truly need some fresh blood in there. And Schuhaus would bring that, an offensive mind, younger guy, kind of off the radar. That would be something that I possibly could work as that kind of candidate. But also, you got to make sure the guy is up for the task. I'm not sure if Schuhaus is quite yet. But Steelers request those two gentlemen. And in the NBA, Jonathan Kuminga has requested a trade. So over the last couple of years, it's been a complete cluster bleep, to put it lightly, between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors. Kuminga's a talented player, was a very high draft pick a few years ago by Golden State prior to the 2022 season. I think it was like the 5th pick in the draft. It was a very, very high draft. It was in the top 10. And first 2 seasons, he didn't play a whole lot for them. But starting in 2024, he was supposed to step up and have a bigger role. At first, did not. Was in former team, he wasn't happy. Looked like a trade was going to happen. They ended up deciding to give him a chance and gave him real minutes, put him into the starting lineup. Ended up playing really well in 2024, averaged 16 points a game. He shot 52% from the field, only 32% from three, but last year, bit of a step back, only 47 games due to injuries and just, clashing with Steve Kerr throughout the year. Averaged 15 points a game on 45% shooting, so a big dip there in production. And speaking of Neil, Neil's going to join me once again. So we're going to get to Neil soon, hopefully. He tried to call in just now, but I think there's some technical difficulties on his end. That's why I keep looking over at my phone, because I see him on my space. That's on my phone. Obviously, the actual podcast is on the computer. But Kuminga, after last year, there was a whole contract saga. It took forever to be resolved. There was trade rumors with this team and that team, most notably with the Sacramento Kings. And then eventually, they do sign him to a 4-year deal. But it doesn't, it never looked like he was truly happy there. This year, he's only played in 18 games. He's averaged 11 and just over 12 points a game. Only shooting 40% from the field. Once again, only 32% from three. He's a 33% three-point shooter. For his career, we're once again going to try and get Neil up here. Hopefully he can chime in on this Kuminga nonsense. By the way, today was the day that his he can be traded. Now, when you sign a guy in the offseason, you have to wait till a certain date in the season to trade them. He is now eligible along with a bunch of other guys to be traded. And so Kuminga is definitely a guy who's a candidate to be traded. Neil, I think we have Neil.
Hey man, how's it going? Sorry, I think I might have been activated to come on, and then something popped up on my phone and it killed the audio, and I had to come back.
Yeah, it was weird. Like I hit the to put you on, but I guess it didn't register or something. That was very weird. But anyway, how's it going, Neil?
Everything's great, man. I was just listening to you, and I just thought I'd come in, kind of got through most of your material and just kind of chime in on
right, yeah,
talking about. But yeah, I love what you're talking about right now because it's been a busy morning actually. Yet again, So firstly, I was watching the Bregman conference on MLB TV. He announced that he's going to be a WBC, so I think that's another player.
Okay.
You guys can expect. But going to the basketball quickly, because you were talking about, I think you mentioned the situation with Kuminga, which I think he has no value at all anymore. And you always
right now it's pretty low.
Yeah, he hasn't played in 10 games, 9 games.
He's only played 18 games this year.
I always bring this up, I do, because they could have had Siakam for him, and they were like, no.
Yeah.
They had big plans for Kuminga, and they never followed through. And I think Golden State just doesn't know how to harness the young talent. I think that's probably Steve Kerr. Because I'm not taking nothing away from Steve Kerr. He's a great coach. But let's not forget that Mark Jackson did what they had going in Golden State, and then Steve Kerr kind of came over and took it over. So I've not seen him develop good young talent. I'm not just putting it all on him, but in the situation, they had big hopes for this dude. They could have had a player like Siakam. If you think about it, that could have been, Steph with Butler and Siakam, which is a nice core, right? So I think they don't have any value. I think they're going to get whatever they can get for him. I don't even know what that is, but I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that there's value there? Do you think that there's something they can get for him because he hasn't played at all? Like he's, you know what I mean? He's kind of been kind of trending down, if you will.
Yeah, so he's still 23 years old. He just signed a 4-year deal in the offseason. It was a decent amount of money, but in today's league, in today's NBA, it wasn't that much money, like compared to some other guys. So I think the contract is relatively fine. I think the guys would kind of rather him be under contract for 3 more years. That being said, he's a 33% three-point shooter, and he's played almost 300 career games. So that doesn't help him. He's having his worst season since 2023. He's in terms of production, in terms of shooting the basketball. So I think that will definitely bring him down. I think at some point we have to look at, all right, he's disgruntled in Golden State. Is he going to be disgruntled, when he comes here? Is the team going to bring him in and start him right away? If they're going to bring him off the bench, will he cause a problem there? So a lot of factors here. They should be able to get something decent out of him, but they're not going to get, multiple first round picks, I don't think.
Like I'm saying, they kind of missed the boat on him getting like.
For sure traded them last year. I get they were a good team last year and you were trying to contend for a championship, but they probably could have, and what they'll probably try and do now is to kind of opposed to a lot of times when you're trading a guy at the deadline, it's a team that's bad. They're trying to get draft picks back and younger players and aspiring salaries. Maybe they'll try and get back like a win now player or two instead. They're gonna have to take back somebody to match the money anyway.
They had Andrew Bogut before when they started winning their first chip.
Yeah.
Really, anyone else significant? And what was the dude's name again that they drafted number 2 overall? That's another place.
James Wiseman. Oh God. I was too. I thought he was gonna be a great player. I thought he was the best player in that class.
Yeah, I just thought that they kind of messed up there because like LaMelo Ball was in that draft, even if
Yeah.
Steph Curry, who else was in there? There was a couple of other good players in there. I can't even think back, but like he was not the top, like a top 2 draft pick, it turns out. So, but they aimed for a center then, right? So they know they need a center. They need to get a big man. I don't know who that is. But then the John Morant thing I wanted to quickly mention, I don't know if you're watching because they're actually getting ready. It's going to go down at 2 p.m. Eastern from Berlin.
Right.
And the Magic. So I'm going to actually watch a bit of that. But yeah, I mean, I just think that like he was actually shown this morning on the court in Berlin having an argument with Vince Williams Jr.
Oh, Jesus.
For the team, right? The guy's carrying guns, gets,
I know.
issues happening, has a bad attitude when they, interview him and stuff. He's like, ask him. I don't know. Talk to him. Like he's got some kind of something to say. Kind of like Allen Iverson times 10 after he won the MVP. So we're talking about practice. Like that attitude's going to hurt him. You know what I mean? And like you would have thought back in the day too that Allen Iverson had so much talent that never would have hurt him. Like when he went to Denver with Carmelo, I thought he had maybe another chance. But it was ever since then that he just started kind of, trending down again. And that's basically like what I could see happening here. Like if Ja keeps it up, but like its value too is not mega. Like they gave Bane up for 4 first rounders, right? So they don't get that for Marathon. I can't even believe the Magic gave up 4 first for Bane.
That was an overpay.
That's way too many picks, right? For Bane, I think. Like,
it's an overpay. It's similar, not as bad to the Mikal Bridges trade with the Knicks. He's a good player, good fit for the team. He'll help them to an extent, but he's simply not worth that price tag.
And the Magic have a good team, but we'll see what happens there. But I'm just saying, like, Morant's getting moved. I think that's happening. And it says from CBS Sports, they posted the article about an hour ago, and it's the 2 suitors they have are the Raptors and the Heat. I can see him playing for the Heat.
He needs to go to a place like Miami with real structure, with Eric Spoelstra. That's where he needs to go.
With the fact we talked about this yesterday with the Quickly contract, the Raptors want to get rid of it, and they're shopping that the same deal I think that they offered the Atlanta Hawks for Trae Young is going to be there.
That's what I think it would be. His value can't be that high. He can't shoot the 3, the off the court stuff. So it's going to be probably quickly in draft picks. That's about what it's going to be, I would think.
Like AD these days.
Yeah, he's always hurt too. He's never on the court.
It's a calf injury issue, which I don't believe he's of an injury. I think he just has a bad attitude, doesn't want to play, and so he's just sitting out like 6 straight games now.
I know.
Fantasy, I was forced that.
And part of it's probably because they're trying to trade him. They don't want him to get hurt because he always gets hurt.
I think he's going to get traded any time now. And like, I feel like it could happen with the Raptors. It's just that I don't want the AD injury type issues, and I don't want the bad attitude and all that. Like,
I know.
It's like he's going to be a hard sell. Like, but Miami, I agree with you. It's bad for him. I don't know what you give up. Like, you get to do a Golden foul, probably, right?
Yeah, you would for Miami. That's
Tyler Hero. They thought on Tyler Hero.
Probably about. I don't even know if I would trade Tyler Hero for John Morant at this point.
Tyler Hero's injured as much as
He might maybe almost an even swap. Yeah, it would probably be him. I don't know if it's maybe Andrew Wiggins would be in the trade because I don't think they're gonna. I don't think Memphis would get a guy like Khalil Ware or Hawkes, one of their younger guys.
They're shopping briefly in picks, probably throwing in like Ochai Abaji. So, like, yeah, but I don't want him here if he's going to be missing 7 straight games.
Exactly, yeah.
That attitude and but the thing is, here's the connection. Darko Rajakovic was the assistant with the Grizzlies for.
That's right, yeah. So he knows Ja, so maybe he can straighten them out, and maybe that's their thinking.
So that's the thing that is really be riding on that. They've had a past history where because he had to groom Ja coming into the Memphis organization.
Yeah.
There when he was a rookie, helped him work in.
And if he didn't want Ja, I think he would probably that's a guy who can go to the front office and be like, look, I get he's a talented player, but I was with him in Memphis. You know, he's not worth the headache. And I'm assuming he hasn't said that because they're still in on the trade. So maybe he thinks that they could fix him. I don't know, but you know, the trade deadline I think is February 3rd. It's February 5th. So yeah, it is in 3 weeks from today at 3:00.
I know that Dallas wants to see him beat Palmer Bulls. I'm not giving up.
For AD, not at this point in his career. He at least has to be healthy when you trade for him if you're giving up a young guy like that.
And so Kyrie's supposed to be back at some point.
Yeah.
AD's out for 6 weeks. Like, what are they doing? They're probably trying to tank at this point for another year. This is supposed to be an amazing draft. We mentioned that.
I think they're just trying to get whatever value they can out of Anthony Davis because at this point he's old, making a lot of money. He's never on the court. They're not going to get full value for him. They're just trying to get something back for him at this point. Yeah. At this point, I don't know what they're going to get out of him. I mean, if he was playing right now, it's like, all right, he's always injured, probably right now he's playing, and if he was playing well, but he's hurt. Like, he's not going to be healthy for, at least another, a month after you trade for him.
Exactly. Like, you're looking at about 6 weeks to 2 months. And the other thing is, they would offer Porzingis, I heard, because they have Porzingis.
Yeah, that would make sense. He's expiring salary. It'd be him. If I'm not even. Yeah, they would probably have to put somebody else in there to make the money work, and then maybe throw in a younger player.
Nice pieces, actually.
They have a lot of young talent on the roster. They could make the trade work.
They can move AD now, though he's injured. Everything you have to wait for him. But I think Jaw's definitely getting moved, and I think soon.
He should be.
You were mentioning we went to baseball there real quick.
Oh yeah.
Because I like what you mentioned about Robert Duggar. And I posted an article earlier this morning as well that I think that it looks like MLB says it could happen today that maybe he announces where he's going. I think the Mets right now, if you're looking at the finish line, I think the Mets just pulled up in terms of the fact that there's going to be a negotiation that comes to an agreement at some point. If you're looking at the finish line, but I think the Mets just pulled ahead by a smidgen with this deal because $50 million at 4 years is what you heard? Because I didn't see that, but that's a pretty good short-term deal.
Yeah.
If he had an option to opt out, if he wants to opt out after the second year, whenever test market again, if that's in there, he might take that because then he can maintain the value still. But I think he really truly wants a long-term deal, 7 years probably because he's turning 29.
Yeah, he should, especially with the lockout coming next year.
And then also at this point for athletes, especially in baseball, in all sports, really basketball, whatever have you. When they get to their late 20s, they're going to their 30s. This is always their biggest deal. Like whenever they're looking for resign or to get another contract, that's always their biggest deal of their career, because it's after that they're starting to now trend down. They're no longer in their prime likely or whatever have you. They're veterans and they're aging. So he's going to want that. Even though in baseball, I know players can be successful in their late 30s into their 40s as well. But it's just that I think that he would want that, considering he's going to be 20 starting the season.
Yeah.
He basically is going into his 30s with this deal. So I like the deal that the Mets put forth, and that would be the perfect thing for the Mets. It would really actually fix them. I don't.
It would give them something in their lineup.
It could be great. I think that if you had Soto and Tucker, and you know what I mean, like you're just those two power bats right there. With everything else that you have is great. Like problems at all. Like I think that the pitching, they might need to get another pitcher. I don't know. Like I know you have McCain coming. Correct? Is that probably your best pitcher?
McClain right now is, yeah.
So yeah, they might want to get another pitcher to add to that. I guess I don't know, Framber Valdez, if they were talking about him. I think that there was some rumblings about that. So they should get him. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts? You're a Mets guy, right? So what do you think about your rotation? You need another piece of it.
It's definitely lacking. They need a true ace. We don't know if McClain's gonna make that jump yet. They're gonna need like a Framber Valdez or something like that.
I think so too. I just really think that wherever they go, they got to get another big bat for sure.
That too.
I'm okay with the rest of it. I think that they can figure it out as the season goes on. But yeah, it's basically I just want to chime in on those issues. I don't know what the reason why when I came on your show, the reason why I ended up that silence happened because there was an article that popped up that I clicked on, which I think there's a video in it that made this go silent for me. But it was actually just now. It says that there's a report from Jeff Passan from ESPN that the Blue Jays have not closed the door on a potential reunion with top free agent Bo Bichette.
Okay.
Yes, and so he's still linked to several other suitors, but even though he had that conference with the Phillies, there is a good, strong chance that he could resign with Toronto. So it just sounds like from this article that if it's not Tucker, they're going to get Bichette, and I really hope that, man, because
I think they will get one of them.
Yeah,
if I have to guess.
To get the short-term deal, I don't know if there's a way to do that. Like honestly, like if $200 million at 4 years, he would do something like that. They could sign both Bichette and Bo.
If that would make that even more doable. Yeah, if he's taking a shorter deal.
I think that puts them in a good position to be able to reassure themselves they have a good shot in getting back to the World Series and actually winning it this time. So
yeah,
there's new philosophy, and we're seeing it all the time now. I even heard it with the manager from the Cubs City and the Bregman signing that they're doing exactly what we've been seeing it with the Dodgers and the Jays. They're like with the Okamoto signing, for instance, the Jays, like everybody's kind of throwing off, or like as Jays fans, we're like, oh, what's going on? Like we already have 2 third basemen. Like that's the first thing I said.
Yeah.
But the whole philosophy now is to try to get as many players as you can that have versatility.
Yeah.
Or stock up as many players that.
Depth is very important.
Yeah, it's starting to become the new trend. I think we're starting to see I don't know how many times you're going to see all-star players play 162, or what I mean? Like, is there going to be other players that they're going to want to jump in and get them in the line to keep those other guys fresh and kind of like avoid injuries and just keep them healthier? The load management thing is kind of linking into other sports in different ways and philosophies, and this might be one of them for baseball. Just kind of like we see in the bullpen, they do the opening starter, they do the opener on the bullpen day or whatever have you. I was so surprised.
Yeah.
In the division series against New York, and we actually won that game, thank God. I was so nervous when that happened. I don't like those, but that's just basically like velocity to extend the pitching and give the rotation a rest, which is also why when the Jays went and signed Cody Pond, so I was a little bit confused because we already kind of got 6 starters, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's it's just adding so much depth, which is kind of cool to see too. So that's kind of why I asked you about the Mets, because I think that they have that money to be able to kind of make those acquisitions. But I don't know what the Mets fans are feeling, because you probably felt like they have enough more money than God to be able to just get whoever they want, but it doesn't seem like they're really pushing that far. Like they made the trade for Semien, and you know what I mean? Like they made the moving the bullpen that they needed to, and so we'll see what happens. I don't know. I think they need another big bat. Tucker would be a perfect fit for them. So if it happens to be that Tucker goes to the Mets, then and we end up getting Bo back, I'm happy with that because Okamoto had added to that. I'm comfortable with that. I think that we have enough offense there. But also, we didn't have Santander really at all. Really, last year he was primarily injured, and so he only had like 6 homers in like 220 whenever he played some games. He had a couple games in the playoffs, and then they had to shut him down completely. He should be valuable. Like he's a year removed from being a 44 home run dude, and so if he can bring that back, and he does hit line drive by power, he's a terrible right fielder though, in my opinion. I don't think we really want him playing there defensively too much.
Yeah.
I think he gets DH a lot too, but then you got to keep Springer there as well. So it's gonna be interesting, but. John Schneider likes the depth. He likes to be able to try to get everybody into his rotation from his whole entire roster into the game if he can, to the lineup as well. Like, you know what I mean? So he can do all
for sure.
he can to try to keep the depth. So it'll be interesting, man. I just hope that these signings happen because it's been a lot of anxiety sitting around and waiting to see. You know what I mean? But I think it should be this week that we start to see some finalizations.
Probably, yeah. And now I'm hearing that the Phillies are trying to talk to Real Muto, so I think that things are gonna guys will realize like, you know, we're running out of time to lockouts next year. We gotta sign it at some point.
Just get it back because we discussed it yesterday. They don't really have another good catcher behind them. They'd be weaker at that position if they don't get him back. So he can't cost that much money. Like, you know what I mean? He's kind of at the tail end of his career, I would say.
Yeah.
I think that you can probably get him at a good deal, but yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens, man. But yeah, okay, I'll close out on that note, but that was a good conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens in the coming days. If I'm able to join you once again, I definitely will. We'll talk more about developments in sports, its developments.
Sounds good, Neil. Thank you as always for joining me. You're welcome. You're welcome anytime. And that was Neil Kumar. You know him. He comes on relatively often. Back-to-back days with Neil, which was awesome. That was Neil. So let's finish this thing off with some NFL. So I wanted to do my awards picks for the upcoming NFL awards. Sure, they'll get announced relatively soon. For MVP, I'm going with Matthew Stafford. He had a fantastic year, maybe the best of his career, even at 37 years of age. Overall, he is over 4,700 passing yards, 46 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. I know Drake May's been in the conversation. He has over 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns against 8 interceptions. But I think Stafford simply had a better year. He's played a harder schedule. I'm going to go with Matthew Stafford to win his first MVP in year 17. Crazy. Offensive player of the year, I'm going to go with Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver from the Seattle Seahawks. He's had an incredible year. He was the best wide receiver in the entire NFL this year. Breakout season for him, 119 catches, over 1,700 yards, almost 1,800 yards, and 10 touchdowns. I have him winning offensive player of the year. As for defensive player of the year, I think it's Myles Garrett by country mile. He had 23 sacks, first player with 23 sacks in the season. Don't look at much of a conversation there. Coach of the year, I think it's Ben Johnson. A lot of hot candidates this year. Mike McDonald, Seattle. Maybe even Sean Payton in Denver, Liam Cohen, Jacksonville. I think it's Ben Johnson. He won 11 games at the playoff game with Caleb Williams. That should get you coach of the year, if you ask me. Comeback player of the year. This one was tougher. This is probably not going to be right. But my pick was Phillip Rivers. The guy's 44 years old. Looks like my dad out there with the shape he's in. He hasn't played in 5 years, and he went out there and played 3 really good games for the Indianapolis Colts. I know he didn't win. But man, going out there with a dad bod and still slinging it, that's pretty impressive. I think he should win comeback player of the year. It's kind of like when Alex Smith won. He only played a few games coming off that wild injury. He wasn't all that good, but it's just impressive. This is different. I'll say Alex Smith had an almost life-threatening injury. Rivers didn't have anything like that, but it's just crazy how he came back after 5 years looking like that and was still able to sling the ball around. For my offensive rookie of the year, I'm going with Emeka Egbuka. He had a very good year with the Bucs, first-round pick this year. 63 catches for 938 yards and 6 touchdowns. He had a very good season. I think he'll win offensive rookie of the year. And defensive rookie of the year, this one, the candidates were pretty weak this year. I'll go with James Pierce. He had 10.5 sacks for the Falcons this year. They trade up to get the end of the first round. Strong finish to the year for him. I think James Pierce will be the defensive rookie of the year. And to close things out, let's do game picks for the NFL divisional rounds. Starting with the side of the games, 4:30 on CBS. It will be the Buffalo Bills at the Denver Broncos. I'm gonna take the Bills. I'm very nervous. Excuse me about this pick. Buffalo's receiver room is banged up. It's not a great room, but Josh Allen has been playing out of his mind. They'll be able to run the football with James Cook, who led the league in rushing this year. I think he has a great game. Still not sure if I trust Bo Nix in the big game. Granted, he did come up clutcher a lot in the regular season this year. Still not sure if he'll do it in the postseason. I will take the Bills to win this game on the road. And then Saturday night at 8 on Fox, 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to take Seattle. I think the Niners are really going to miss George Kittle in this game. He tore his Achilles last week, unfortunately, in the wild card win last week over the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they will miss him. They'll miss him in the running game, and they will miss him in the passing game. Seattle has probably the best run defense, at least in the NFC. Probably the best run defense left, with Jacksonville already being eliminated last week by Buffalo. So I think the Niners won't be able to run the ball as effectively as they did against Philadelphia. I think the Seattle Seahawks will sneak by the 49ers. Sunday at 3 o'clock, Texans-Patriots. I'm going to take Houston an upset here. They're playing some excellent football. I think they have the best defense in the NFL. I know the offense isn't great. The line isn't very good. Their running game isn't great. And I don't think they'll be able to run the ball as effectively against New England like I did against Pittsburgh. It's not the Pittsburgh kind of very soft run defense. New England's is much better. But I think Stroud plays a little bit better in this game. And I think the Texans get to an AFC championship. And then 6:30 on NBC, Rams and Bears. I'm going to take the Rams. This will be a very exciting game, high-scoring game, two high-powered offenses. But I trust Matthew Stafford a hell of a lot more than I trust Caleb Williams. I think he outduels Caleb and the Bears in this game. But that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you again, Neil, for tuning in. Welcome anytime as always. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.